Hello everyone, welcome you all back to the subject of Industrial Engineering and Management. This video will be continuing with what we have seen in the previous video of Unit 3. Unit 3, the topics which have been marked in red are the ones which we will be discussing in this video. The incentive plans, the wage plans, the types of wages, incentive plans, how a workplace has to be designed, which are the areas of study which we have to consider under the category of ergonomics, what ergonomics is about. So all these topics we'll be discussing about in the video. What is incentive? In the previous video, we have been discussing about what are the wages, how the wages is given, what are the basics requirement of wages, what is the wage plan which have been derived, all those stuff we have seen. In this video, we'll be seeing about the wage incentives. As the name incentive refers, which is predominantly quite common nowadays, it is basically refers to a performance linked compensation, which is paid to the workers to make sure that they are motivated and they through which their productivity gets improved. So it is not the regular wages which are usually given to the workers. Wages are something which is given to the work which is performing, whereas incentives are something which you push the employees to work beyond their accepted standard, which is the required level. So over and above how much they have performed, they will be provided the corresponding incentive for that. So it is basically tied to the achievement of specific objectives which have been predetermined and communicated to the employees. It is not something which you give it on spot or which you give it temporarily. You have to be predetermining, you have to communicate that to your employees well in advance so that correspondingly your employees will know that whenever they perform over and above to this particular level, they'll be able to get this particular incentive from the company. It gives it, what is the major concern, or what is the major objective, or what is the major advantage of being providing an incentive is that it helps us to the workforce to gain motivation so that they will try to complete the more tasks, and through which you can generally build a loyalty to the organization. The American Society of Mechanical Engineers, which is shortly called as ASME, it defines the wage incentive plan as a method of payment which directly relates earning to the production, a system which enables workmen to increase their earning by maintaining or exceeding an established standard of performance. So from the image you could see that, this image you could see that a person who needs, whenever you are motivated, whenever the incentive is higher, so this is something a person of a general caliber, or a person who is more satisfied with what is required, what is to be provided to the required standard, he will just aim for this. Whereas whenever you are providing an additional incentive, obviously many people will be highly motivated. The same thing applies over here. This is the basic required standard, so the more you work, the more rewards and more incentive the particular employee will be paying. So this creates a sense of motivation, and it helps them to uh, provide a build of a kind of loyalty towards the organization, because they will be much more satisfied in the feeling that their work has been recognized. Whenever they're putting in an additional effort, they see that their work has been recognized by the organization. So that helps them in to a kind of self motivation. So what are various types of incentive plans? You categorize them basically into two types. One is financial, the other one is non-financial. Financial incentives are paid in terms as a money. It is something like a monetary benefit you provide. The allowances, the bonus, the profit sharing, the stock options. Even recent days we have seen that Zomato has offered the stock options to its employees. They'll be able to get the stocks from the share market at a much lesser price when compared to the regular public. So it's a kind of an incentive which is provided to them. Whereas the other category of non-financial incentives, they are non-monetary incentives, which is not provided in terms of cash. Rather, you provide them as an job enrichment, or you provide them a career advancement opportunity, or you give them any discount coupons or gift items, or you provide them additional holidays. All those stuff comes under the non-financial incentives. Uh, the quite common basic thing which has been followed recently in most of the MNCs, the utilization of food card, right? So they are providing them food card, which is the kind of non-financial incentives. It is provided to persons who are uh, working above their required limit, or they will be self-motivated. They cannot take cash from the card, but they can use them in the restaurants and the places where they move. So we'll see what individual incentive schemes is about. It is paid as an incentive to the individual performance rather than as a group. So a person who, even though he is in a project, the particular person is seems something to be exceptional when compared to the others. he'll be, regardless of the output of the performance, this incentive is provided to the particular person. So the employees are liable to pay them, and who are producing the most standard output, they are more possibility of them getting the higher incentive from the organization. The other category is a group incentive scheme, where you do not provide the incentives to the individual, rather you provide them to the group of persons who have achieved that. Say for example, a project which has been successfully completed, right? You provide the particular team a set of incentive schemes, whereas you offer them a day outing to a particular resort, or you provide them an opportunity for going to a movie, or you provide them an abroad trip to a particular group. So it's a kind of incentive which is given to the group of people. So through which you'll see that every individual or every employee inside that particular group, they will be getting more or less an equal share of the incentive. So the something what one kind of limitation is that employees who are more competent and who are more self motivated, they are not in favor of the scheme, because they feel that their individual share is being given to the others who are of lesser caliber, or who are working less when compared to them. But on the whole, this also provides a sense of motivation to a team. It kind of build a team on the whole. So rather than having a self individual output, it provides the motivates the people to work as a team, so that they can achieve the benefits as a team as well. So characteristics of a good incentive scheme: it should be very simple, and it should be fixed. You should not alter it quite often. Once you know that it has been fixed and the employees are all well aware of it, it is not that you have to change it quite often. And it should have a direct relationship between the effort and reward, rather than having an indirect relationship. And moreover, this should not create any disharmony amongst the employees. Like it should not be favoring one particular people more, and it should not be favoring the other. It should not be providing any sort of other incentive to the others. That should not be the cases here. Every individual has to be should have the opportunity to work as a team, and they should not create any disharmony, so that the entire output doesn't get affected. So this is the outline of the different wages and incentive plans. As far as the syllabus is concerned, we only just stick on to outline of what all those plans are about. Uh, Even though there are much detailed description and detailed analysis through various problems have been there, uh, with the syllabus constraint, we are just stick on to what are the outline is about. The categorization is based on time-based, production-based predominantly, and then the group incentive plans. The group incentive plans, we have four different categories: the pre-month plan, scale and plan, co-partnership, and the profit sharing. And the example which I quoted earlier about Zomato's, where the employees were given the opportunity to get the stocks from the share market at a much lesser price. Whereas in a time-based plan, you have Halsey, Rowan, Emerson, and Brady explain everything are unique in their way. Even though all the plans are predominantly focusing on providing the employees and incentives and wages with respect to the time and not respect to the output. And the next category of production based plans, it is completely purely based upon the quantity of output which is produced by the particular employee. So you have two different categories: one is Taylor's differential piece rate, the other one is Gantt task and bonus plan. So we'll see the outline about how a time based system works. In a time based system, you usually provide the wages in terms of number of days worked or number of hours worked. So how much of rate has been fixed per day multiplied with the number of days will give you the wages for the particular day. If you are fixing it in terms of hours, you have to do the same. In a piece rate or wage system, you have wages multiply, which is the multiplication of your number of units produced and the piece rate per unit. So it's purely based upon quantifying the parameters, not with respect to the time based. If a person is producing, if the actual work hour shift of 8 hour shift, a person is supposed to produce 100. The time based system, irrespective of the quantity he is producing, even though he may be producing 80 or 120, it just gives the workers the wages in terms of time. Whereas in piece rate, it takes into account the number of quantity produced. Even though he works for 8 hours, if he is not meeting the required 100, if he is able to produce only 80, then he will be paid only for those 80 components which has been produced. Next, we move on to the next topic, which is called ergonomics. It's also called as the workplace design. How the workplace today, we are more sophisticated, and the workplace is completely in a way that it helps us to do the work more effectively and more efficiently, because The workplace which has been available today, it is a result of many innovations which have happened in the earlier days. The world of work continues to change. We never knew that we were able to work with a table and a chair with a customized system to everyone and the individual system to everyone. We never thought that to be the workplace design few years back, probably some 40 or 50 years back. Now everyone, maybe in the future we would also have a smart working system or workplace design wherein we get the help of robots and we get use of artificial intelligence and other those technologies for efficient working in the organization. So, what are the factors you consider that? What are the factors to be considered when you do a workplace design? It's basically the human factors. It's called this to be the ergonomics. It is what in general the ergonomics and human factors which you consider for your study is the application of psychological and the physiological principles for engineering the design of products, process, and system. So, what is the ideal goal of a human factor in a workplace design? The ideal goal is to reduce the human error. We usually say that human error is inevitable, but of course you have to reduce the intensity of the human error through which you'll be able to achieve the productivity. Maybe you can also try to increase the productivity by reducing the human error. And third important category is you have to ensure safety and comfort to the workers who are working there. If the worker is not comfort, he doesn't feel safe within the workplace, then obviously the performance and its productivity gets affected. The word ergonomics is derived from Greek words. Most of our words are derived from Greek, and the word ergon in Greek refers to work, and nomi refers to natural laws. So, it's combination of ergon and nomis. That's what ergonomics is about. So, design of workplace is a part of ergonomics, which studies the relationship between the people, the machine, or between the employees and their environment. So, the person who is studying ergonomics, they usually study the human capabilities of relationship to meet the work demands and what are the difficulties that has been faced and how you can effectively optimize the workplace system to ensure that the productivity gets increased. We have an association of international ergonomics which defines ergonomics in a way that a scientific discipline which is concerned with the understanding of interactions among humans and the elements of system. The elements of system includes your all the equipments, the machine, the human interface, and how it is done. It is basically through application of theory, principles, and data through which you will optimize all the activities which are done by the human, and through which and the overall performance is also gets increased. We also have an ISO definition. The ISO number is 6385. The year it was released in the year 2016. What it says though is economics is a scientific discipline which is concerned with interaction among humans and the elements through which you study the theory, principles, and methods to optimize the overall human performance, which is similar to which is almost the same definition which has been given by the Association of Indian Economics. You could see here the person who is sitting right here, the one which has been marked in red is the correct seating posture. Of course, most of us do not follow that. I guess so. This helps in increasing the overall productivity when the system or the workplace is designed in this particular way. Then the worker will feel much comfort in working there rather than working like this. He may feel the neck pain or the back pain quite often. So obviously the productivity gets affected to that. The objectives of ergonomics, the ideal objective is to ensure a better health, safety, and the comfort for the persons who are working there, through which you can enhance the productivity, the efficiency, effectiveness, which have been carried out in the work. And ergonomics is also not only dealing about the human safety, it also helps you to design the product or tool in a way that it is much fitting to the user rather than you make a product and train the worker to fit to the product. It is about designing a product and tool and equipment to make sure that it is just fitting to the requirement of the user. In an ideal scenario, an ergonomically designed workplace will help you to reduce the work-related stress, uh, the fatigue and discomfort through which the overall quality of the life of the worker gets increased. When we see about designing of the product to ensure that it is fitting to the user requirement, probably we can think about the utilization of this pen. This pen usually you think about you think about the other option. Now how well you are closing, you are designing in a way that if you just put this pen inside the cap and just press it, the pen is getting closed. That is how easily you can finish off this operation. Now imagine having threads inside both the pen as well as thread over here. You have to ensure that the thread and the slot are in match. You have to tighten that until it gets completely closed. Now think about the amount of work which has been carried over. Think about the fatigue which the worker will be doing for every time. So this has been reduced. This is practically possible because you have ergonomically designed the process in a way that the design is in a way that you just put it, close it, that's it. The operation is completed. So all these steps will help in way of creating a better workplace environment for the worker as well as for the organization. Now, what are the areas of study under ergonomics? Ergonomics includes various factors, starting from your physical factor, the biological, psychological factors as well. And from an organizational perspective, it includes the organizational factor and the work factor, which are a key important aspect of your productivity. Now, what are the categories under physical factors? Noise, light, influence of temperatures, climate, and obviously the chemical substances or the other materials which are present over there, the furnitures, the tools, all those stuff which are physically, you can use it physically. All those stuffs comes under this physical environment factors. And the biological factors includes human body dimensions, body capabilities, physiological process, the postures, the movement. A good example can be the seats of a train. We all knew that the seats of a train is depending upon the human body dimension. Most of us would have traveled in train. Uh, Even a person with a weight of 120 kgs can lie on a train without any much of a discomfort, obviously. But the constraint is that it has been designed taking into consideration on a general public. You don't put it on a customized way. Predominantly, people in India are in the category of the height ranges in the category of 5'5" to 6. So it has been designed in a way that to accommodate a person who is in the category of 5'5" to 6. So person, obviously a person above 6 will have few of its body parts outside the berth, whereas the person within the range of 5'5" and 5'5" to 6, they will be able to comfortably sit and comfortably sleep in the berth which is provided in the trains. So that is how the ergonomic aspect comes into play. Psychological factors includes your mental work, the information processing, the training, motivation, which through which you will be able to ensure that the worker is not completely dissatisfied and there is no disharmony among the workers over there. And you also take into account the work factors and the organization factors, which will help you to make sure that the productivity doesn't get affected with the persons getting a decline in their output. All these factors combine, and all these factors will help in a way that it helps them to just promote, or which helps them to promote and increase the productivity in a much easier way. Now we'll see about the areas of application where ergonomics is predominantly used. Ergonomics finds a variety of application. You start from your designing of man-machine system, designing of consumer goods and services, and designing of work environment. So the anatomical factors in the workplace layout for the placement of machines, equipment, and components, through which you can accurately have a various display panels and presentation of all set of instruments. All these steps will help you to create an ideal workplace scenario through which you can make sure that the workplace is completely and it is fit enough for the worker to extract the maximum efficiency from it. Unless and until the workplace is not comfortable, you cannot expect the worker to perform to its fullest potential. Obviously, there will be some delays and there will be some hurdles for the workers who are working there. First, now we'll see about the design of mission system, man-mission system. Man-mission system is where one or more work is being carried out in relation with one or more machines. So a worker who will be drilling a hole in the job using a hammer is an example of your man-machine system, because the worker here is the man and the drilling which is done by using your hammer and the drilling machine is the example being quoted as your machine. So what advantage this system possesses is that it could be a productive system as well as a service system, because many many scenarios you have to have an interface between. You also have the HMI, the human machine interface. The HMI system will helps you to optimize the work environment in a way that the inputs are given by the human and the process is done by the machine, and through which you'll be able to get the output. So ergonomics is applied to adapt such kind of systems, whereas you provide the maximum job satisfaction and comfort to the worker, because you'll be able to see that the output is achieved in a greater way. But how do you make sure that the worker is much more satisfied? because when he feels that he is putting in very less physiological and mental load to the work, he will feel that with the lesser quantity of work he is producing in, he will be able to get a maximized output. So ergonomics is that kind of tools, which technique which helps you to get a sense of satisfaction to the worker in a way that he is more comfort in doing the work. At the same time, the efficiency and the productivity is also not getting affected. Now, the next one is design of consumer goods and services. Ergonomics is applicable to that as well as it's about designing of your dining set. The good example can be your sofa set. Earlier, we had sofa sets. It was only 2 or 3 varieties of sofa sets. Now you could see there are many varieties, which is predominantly designed in a way that to give comfort to the workers, right? Your recliner chairs, all those stuffs are your innovations which have happened through the economical design. Without recliner chairs, imagine people sitting in for a number of times. Even the seats which in the theaters which we go there for a movie experience. Earlier it was only about a small wooden seats which is designed, but now people are expect that to be much more comfort. So they have got some a smaller recliner options too as well. Whereas you can slide, also you can push back to a little bit of extent. The many seats which have been there in your buses, your what is it, the travels buses, all those stuffs are good examples of how your consumer goods and services have been improved in a way by considering the economic factors as well. Very recently, also you could have seen in Amazon an economically designed mouse has been designed. Mouse, the computer mouse which we usually use, right? It is of this particular hole. It is how the current design is about. An ergonomically designed mouse is kept in a way that the fingers and all those palms doesn't feel the pain when you work it for for a larger number of hours. So that is the kind of improvement and innovations which has been carried over in the area of consumer goods and services. So the next is designing of your working environment. Working environment, you make sure that the light is properly placed rather than it is disturbing to the eyes of the worker, and there is completely a noise proof system, noise proof scenario where there is no external noise which is coming creeping into the workplace, and it has to have a proper ventilation, probably, and if not an air conditioned ventilation, you should have a free flowing ventilation for the working place. So all those stuffs, right? It helps them. These factors concerned with the environment, such as the workbenches, the public transports, roads, airports, they should be properly designed in a way considering the economical aspect of the humans who are involved in that. It includes the end customers who are utilizing the product, but also includes the worker who is involved in designing of the particular product, right? So an overview of economics is what we have seen about, and what are the various areas where economics is quite commonly used, we have seen. uh, the next video we'll be discussing about the remaining part of the unit 3, where the influence of climate and all the other stuffs related to economics will be studied, right? Thank you.